Live from the Buffalo Wild Wings studios, it's time to get locked into the best Sooner recruiting and football news with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
We out here, as the kids say. It is Locked In.
What are you doing?
On a Tuesday. Parker Thune, Grayson Singleton, riding along with you here on the Ref and the K-Ref Sports YouTube channel. For those of you that, for whatever reason, like to see our faces, in addition to hearing our voices. Going to be a fun day. It always is. We have plenty to discuss. Before we get started, though, want to remind you that the show is brought to you today and every day by Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno. Dorsey Jones offers phenomenal service, incredibly helpful, personable service technicians, a low-pressure sales environment, half-price oil changes on Saturdays, and, of course, GMC has some of the most reliable trucks and SUVs on the road today. So head out to Dorsey Jones, check out what they got going. We appreciate their partnership here on the show, and we appreciate all of you that chime in every day via the text line at 405-651-3439. Mr. Singleton, how's your Tuesday?
Hey, man, it's moving right along. It's moving fast. Got a long day. For me today, I'm off to Norman North to go call some basketball. Then I've got some SMU work later on today. It'll be a long day.
Oh, dang. So are you calling a Norman North game? Is that what it is? Or just okay.
Yeah, today and Friday.
So you get to watch Ben Kolar.
I do get to watch Ben Kolar play basketball, yes.
How good is he as a hooper?
Not bad.
Yeah?
Not bad. Obviously, football is his better sport.
Oh, no doubt.
As we can all assume. But, you know, he's pretty solid. Had to come back from the shoulder, so he hasn't played all of the season, but pretty solid team. We'll see what happens.
That's true, yeah. Broke that collarbone back in early November. It was about, as I understand, about an 8-week rehab for him. But
yeah, final game of the regular season, too.
Oh, is that what this is tonight?
No. That's when he broke his collarbone.
Okay, yes,
Yeah,
tracking.
Yes.
Okay, I was about to say, dang, that's an early end of the basketball season.
No, we still got about 2 weeks of that left.
Yeah. Well, good. Good stuff. 405-651-3439. If you guys want to fire any questions or comments our way, of course, here's what I want to know from y'all today on the text line. So we start to look ahead to 2026. And now that we know what Oklahoma's roster composition looks like heading into 2026, it's entirely understandable that we would start to project ahead with some defined notions of what the depth chart could look like. And so, for you, as a listener, with a unique perspective on everything that is OU football, which transfer and or which freshman has you most excited to see what they can do in the 2026 season? Are you really, really juiced up to see one transfer in particular or one incoming freshman in particular? Let us know on the text line. But as we get started here today, Grayson, I want to talk about Case Alexander down there, Washington High School. Washington, Plank's neck of the woods. And, of course, Washington, Oklahoma has a 4-star linebacker that has been a priority OU target for a year and a half, going on 2 years now, in Case Alexander. 4-star kid. Right there in the conversation as the best defensive player in the state of Oklahoma. He's got a case, as does Samaj Stanford, as does Gabe Osborne. There's no clear consensus as of right now, but Case Alexander is one of the elite in the state for the 2027 cycle. And it appeared for quite some time that Oklahoma was the school to beat for his services. His brother, Cooper, of course, signed with Iowa State as a 3-star tight end in the 2024 cycle a couple years back. And it made sense for Cooper. Iowa State made a really, really heavy push for him. Obviously, that's a program that historically has developed tight ends. And when you looked at the rest of his offer sheet, Iowa State didn't seem to be out of their depth in terms of the level of prestige and opportunity that they could offer a guy like that. So Iowa State made the most sense for Cooper. He signed there. And then, of course, in the last couple of months here, Iowa State head coach Matt Campbell pulled up his stakes and moved to State College, Pennsylvania, to become the new head coach of the Penn State Nittany Lions. And he took a lot of Iowa State's roster with him. Took a lot of Iowa State's staff with him. One of the players that followed him was Cooper Alexander, which makes a ton of sense. You know the staff. You know Penn State's reputation when it comes to using the tight end and the lineage of great tight ends that have come through State College. Makes all the sense in the world why you'd want to go finish out your college career in Happy Valley over the next couple of years. When Iowa State loomed as the biggest threat in Case Alexander's recruitment, Oklahoma didn't have a ton to worry about, even with the brother already there. It's a different conversation when you're talking about Penn State. Penn State's obviously a far more prestigious school, a far more historic football school than Iowa State. And so now when it's the Nittany Lions, Matt Campbell wearing a blue hat as opposed to a red and gold hat, recruiting Case Alexander. Well, now the complexity of that recruitment changes, and it certainly has. And as of right now, the new consensus across the industry within the last couple of weeks is that it's Penn State that is the school to beat for Case Alexander. So before I pivot this conversation, because I am going somewhere with this, but what do you think the narrative is going to be if Case Alexander does settle on Penn State and Oklahoma fails to land a priority in-state target that they had been hard after for a long, long time, and also that they remain shut out of Washington High School?
Okay,
a school that they have not cracked.
Okay, so I'm going to follow that question up with another question, because are we talking about the narrative from the local side of things or the narrative from the recruiting world at large? Because those are two different answers. So which direction do you want me to go here? We're
local. Let's say local.
Okay, so the local narrative is going to be, why the hell could you not get him? That's what's going to be the narrative. Everybody's going to go back to the fact that, well, we screwed it up with the older brother, Cooper Alexander. Never really prioritized him as much. He went to a better place. Seems like he's been doing work there, and now he's going to play in the Big Ten at Penn State. And now we can't get the little brother either, who's right down the street. That the narrative is going to be, what is going on, and why can't we get players from Washington who are right down the road from us? We've prioritized, in this case, Case Alexander. He's a 4-star dude. Why can't we keep that elite talent in the state of Oklahoma, especially when you're a traditional blue blood? That's going to be the narrative from right here. The way I choose to look at it, though, is you got family ties at another blue blood that was in the college football playoff a year ago. Like, I mean, you and I always talk about, Parker, that you're not going to win every single battle. We talk about this at length. Yep. Oklahoma's won a crap load of them, especially in the 2027 class. They've got the number 4 ranked class according to Rivals right now. They've won it. They've won their share. But the way I would look at it is, you know what? You just lost it. No big deal. You've had success with transfer linebackers. You've recruited your own linebackers. You flipped a really good one from Texas and Taven Epps in the 2027 class. You're not going to win them all, but you're just fine, in my opinion. Now, the OK Preps leaving the state, that's another conversation. But for my money, cool. They'll make it work.
Sean on the text line says some people don't want to go to Oklahoma. That's why. And to me, it really is that simple. Like, what can you do if you're in Oklahoma's shoes, you're in Brent Venables' shoes, if you're in that building and you've been steady in your pursuit of Case Alexander for darn near 2 years now, and yet he rebuffs your advances and wants to go play with his brother at Penn State, what can he do? You gave it the old college try. You did what you could. You can't win them all. Even with in-state kids, You can't win them all. And I don't think there's something in the water out there at Washington. I don't think it's necessarily the case that the Washington staff has something against Oklahoma or they're intentionally funneling their guys elsewhere. I don't think it's any of that. I think it's simply a matter of, hey, you know what, like Nate Roberts, when you rewind to that recruitment, he thought the opportunity was better for him at Ohio State than at Oklahoma. Can you really fault him? His lead recruiter was the most unpopular man across the fan base in Joe John Finley. And he saw the field a lot at Ohio State
did.
as a true freshman. He played a lot. Didn't make a huge impact for them as a pass catcher, but when they were in 12 personnel, 13 personnel at times, he was on the field.
Mm-hmm.
He was playing meaningful snaps and getting the chance to develop for the Buckeyes. And so that recruitment was unique. I think the Case Alexander recruitment is unique. But here's what I wanted to get around to.
Okay.
I would submit to you that there is a linebacker in the state of Oklahoma that I think has the potential to be every bit as good as Case Alexander at the next level. And this is a kid that does not currently hold an offer from the illustrious University of Oklahoma, but he is picking up a lot of steam nationally. And he has scored some big-time offers in the last month. He has been a huge stock riser. North of a dozen offers since the beginning of January. That offer sheet now includes Texas. It includes Ole Miss. It includes Kentucky, and it includes Arkansas. So you have a fourth of the SEC chasing this kid, and Oklahoma is not currently one of the schools involved. But if they wanted to get involved, I do get the sense in talking to folks close to this kid that they would have a very, very strong chance to add him to the class. The player to whom I am referring is Choctaw linebacker Izzy Hammonds. He goes by Izzy Hammonds. 6'3", 225 pounds. And this is a kid whose tape I watched mid-season, Grayson, and thought, okay, like this is a solid player. This is a dude. This is somebody that definitely going to have to circle back around on in the winter. And then I got around to watching his full junior tape this morning. And my reaction was, oh, this dude can play.
Mm-hmm.
It is no surprise when you flip on the tape why he's blown up lately.
Can I stop you right there? Because
by all means.
Here's where I'm going with this. You say you realize he can play. He's blowing up. How come the school right down the road hasn't gotten involved yet?
Okay. Let me give you a very sound logistical explanation.
Please do. We're here to inform the people.
Taven Epps is already committed.
Yes.
You have one spot accounted for. You have to hold a spot for the very likely possibility that you wind up with Jason Witten's son, Cooper, who is a 5-star linebacker.
Okay, yes.
It stands to reason he winds up signing with Oklahoma. Is that a certainty? Is that a mortal lock? No, but it is an overwhelming likelihood at this point for obvious reasons. That leaves one spot. Oklahoma is taking no more than 3 linebackers in this cycle because they just loaded up. They just took 4 in 2026. And so for the longest time, that third spot has been reserved for Case Alexander because there's been a sentiment around the Switzer Center that we're going to wind up with Case Alexander. That has only just begun to shift in favor of Penn State. And so Oklahoma really hasn't been trying all that hard with any of the other linebackers on the board because, as of late, the sense has been we got Taven Epps. That was official as of early January when he committed at the Under Armour All-American Bowl. Or I'm sorry, the U.S. Navy All-American Bowl. They've been in a great spot for Cooper Witten even before Jason Witten's addition to the staff. And so that's 2. And they had all their chips in for Case Alexander, is the third. And now, with the knowledge that Penn State is moving to the lead position with Case Alexander, this is the type of guy that it would not shock me. I don't necessarily have an expectation here yet, but it would not shock me if Oklahoma did get involved in the next couple of weeks with Izzy Hammonds, because I can tell you for a fact they are very aware of him. He is on the radar. It's not as if they have never heard of the kid. It's not as if Jim Nagy is listening to Locked In today and hearing about Izzy Hammonds for the first time. No, they know who he is, make no mistake. But everybody's been on vacation so far for the last week, and until this coming Monday, everybody's out of the office. They're all enjoying a well-deserved break at the beginning of the quiet period here because everybody's been moving nonstop for the last 6 months, man. Fall camp fed into the season, which fed into the portal window, and amidst it all, you were piecing together the 2026 class. So everybody's taking a breather right now, and then they're going to resume their efforts in earnest, building out the rest of the 2027 board when they all get back into the office. And I think Izzy Hammonds is going to be a guy they take a hard look at because the tape is excellent.
It's
Grayson.
good. It's good tape. He can hit. But not only can he hit, he's a very instinctive player, which I think is critical for being a linebacker in a Brent Venables type system. So I do think he fits upstairs with intangibles and also with measurables. He's got good size on him as well. Can move around pretty decently. Not the greatest mover in the world, but a decent enough mover. I do think he can fit into the system. I've got questions about him. I don't think he's a perfect prospect, but really good player that can lay the wood on somebody. So with that as a linebacker and the fact that you're football smart and you're always in the right place, I'm cool with you as a prospect. So he's a good player for sure.
Even the guys that look like perfect prospects aren't always perfect prospects. Jackson Arnold, for instance. But
oh boy,
yeah, I mean, who is a perfect prospect? Izzy Hammonds is a guy that I believe as of now holds 19 total scholarship offers. Again, just mentioned Texas jumped into the fray, gave him an offer last week. That and or Ole Miss, probably the two biggest on his sheet so far. But I have it on good authority. Texas A&M is in the process of getting an eval on him and potentially extending an offer. So that could be another school that slides into the mix. If Oklahoma were to make a move on this kid with the knowledge that the sands are shifting in Case Alexander's recruitment, it would not come as a huge shock, and I think that's a move that Oklahoma should make because this kid can play, and when you have such a strong crop within state lines, as Oklahoma does in 2027, you want to make sure you land, I should say, as many of the big-time dudes as you possibly can. And for me, Izzy Hammonds is a guy that's a big-time dude. He falls in that category. My comp watching his tape is I think there's a lot of Kobe McKenzie in his game. He reminds me a lot of what Kobe McKenzie looked like coming out of high school. And you can argue that Kobe McKenzie wasn't an elite player for Oklahoma at the linebacker position, but he was solid. He was a leader. He was a stable presence in that rotation. And if that's
he was a dependable guy.
Yeah, if that's what you get, if you get a Kobe McKenzie every single cycle, nobody should complain about that outcome, certainly. All right, folks, 405-651-3439 is the text line. Hit us up if you got questions, comments, opinions. You want to talk ball, you want to talk recruiting, you want to talk anything beyond that. That's what we're here to do on Locked In. Let's keep it rolling. Coming up next, this is the home of Sooner fans, the Ref Sports Radio Network.
Locked In is brought to you every day by Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno. Dorsey Jones GMC is family-owned and operated with a knowledgeable, low-pressure sales staff here to help you through the buying process and half-price oil changes on Saturdays. Visit dorsey-jonesgmc.com for more information.
Have you or someone you know suffered a loss to your home or business from the recent storms? Before you accept a settlement, call Brown O'Haver at 405-735-5510. Brown O'Haver is a local-based company helping Oklahomans with claims since 1988 with preparation and expert analysis detailing your loss and insurance settlement. As your trusted consultant, Brown O'Haver can give you peace of mind and make sure you're getting what's yours. Call Brown O'Haver today, 405-735-5510, and make sure they're working for you.
Oklahoma, safety starts with you.
If you see something,
Say something with the free and anonymous Protect OK app. Whether it's a threat to one of our schools, a public safety concern, or a disturbing post on social media, your tip can help prevent crime and keep our schools and communities safe.
Download Protect OK today, because protecting Oklahoma is everyone's responsibility. Available free on the Apple App Store and Google Play. Funded by the Oklahoma Office of Homeland Security.
Good times are calling your name at Riverwind.
So fill your heart with jackpots at OKC's favorite casino. Catch the hottest entertainment at the Showplace Theater.
Or take it all home on a classic table game.
Play with your wild card, and every Friday in February,
You could win stacks of cash with our $250,000 Love Struck Luck giveaway. So make it a date, and we'll see you at Riverwind.
When you quit tobacco with nicotine patches, gum, or lozenges, you double your odds of success. So this month, we're giving you more for free. Get an 8-week supply when you sign up with the Oklahoma Tobacco Helpline. Call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. Text READY to 34191. Or visit okhelpline.com to double your odds of quitting tobacco with 8 weeks of free patches, gum, or lozenges all month long. A program of TSET.
The big dance and big-time prizes are almost here from the home of Sooner fans. Mark your calendars on Monday, March 16th for the Refs' 25th annual 68-team giveaway at the newly renovated Buffalo Wild Wings in Moore off 19th Street from noon to 7 for your chance to win with the big dance or one of our many instant prizes. That's the Refs' 25th annual 68-team giveaway, presented by Riverwind Casino, the Central Oklahoma GMC dealers, and Buffalo Wild Wings on Monday, March 16th.
Coach Stoops here for Van Hoos Fence. If you want to work with the best local fence company and get championship service, contact my friend Mark and the Van Hoos Fence team. Van Hoos Fence gives each customer the most professional craftsmanship and competitive pricing in Oklahoma. From wood to chain link to vinyl to metal fences, the Van Hoos Fence team does it all. Contact the Fencing All-Americans at Van Hoos Fence, 405-735-1167 or vhfence.com.
Imagine a backyard designed just for you. With Signature Custom Pools, luxury meets craftsmanship to create your outdoor retreat. Every detail is tailored to elevate your lifestyle. Whether you're celebrating special occasions, making lifelong memories, or escaping to a quiet oasis, their experienced design team brings your vision to life. Plan now so you can be swimming and making memories soon. Call 405-898-9098 for your free consultation or visit signaturecustompools.com. Signature Custom Pools. Experience the signature touch.
It's our President's Day sales event at Lander CDJR of Norman. Take up to $14,000 off of MSRP on select new 2025 Jeep Gladiator Sports, or get up to $12,750 off of new 2025 Jeep Grand Cherokees. And as always, straightforward internet pricing with no special add-ons when you get here. Gladiator stock number SL534894, Grand Cherokee stock number SC346406.
Parker Thune, Grayson Singleton, riding along with you here on Locked In. This is the Ref Sports Radio Network. On the text line, 405-651-3439, I asked you all at the top of the show which transfer and or which incoming freshman are you most excited to see and to see what they can contribute for Oklahoma in 2026. Recruiting Boomer said, well, I answered your question at the first of the show, and you just made a left turn on me. I'm sorry, Recruiting Boomer. I didn't get distracted, didn't forget about your responses on the text line. Really just wanted to put a pin in that conversation and circle back around to it in the second segment after we talked about Izzy Hammonds. So here we go. We're back from break. Let's discuss on the text line. Let's start with your feedback. Recruiting Boomer said, I'm most excited to see a combo of transfer Trell Harris, and the recruits to me are Jaden Petit and Jonathan Hatton. I feel like those three are going to be pretty popular answers, all told. Jaden Petit and Jonathan Hatton, those are two real headline grabbers in the 26 class, at least as far as early impact guys are concerned.
Yeah, no doubt. And Jonathan Hatton was going to be my choice for an incoming freshman just because his body is already ready-made for college football. We've talked about this at length before. But when you look at the running back room and Xavier Robinson and Torrey Blaylock, yeah, those guys are good, but they're not world beaters to the point where a guy like Jonathan Hatton couldn't work himself into the rotation and work himself up the depth chart. So, just to clarify, I'm not saying that Torrey Blaylock and Xavier Robinson aren't good. I'm just saying I don't think they're that good to where Jonathan Hatton would have absolutely no room for being able to contribute. So, I would say Jonathan Hatton, and for me, transfer, it would be Trell Harris.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, even if Xavier Robinson and Torrey Blaylock are that good, there's always been room for 3 running backs at OU. Always. I mean, you rewind to some of the most prolific offenses Oklahoma has seen. Think back to 2019 when not only did you have 2 really talented running backs at the head of the committee in Kennedy Brooks and Trey Sermon, but you had a quarterback in Jalen Hurts that, as I recall, eclipsed the 1,000-yard rushing barrier on his own. But the third back in the mix that year was Ramondre Stevenson. And even for as little as he was utilized, Ramondre Stevenson still had a really productive season. In fact, I'm fairly certain, I would have to fact-check this, and I will. I'm fairly certain if Ramondre Stevenson, as Oklahoma's third back in 2019, had that exact statistical season in 2025, he would have led Oklahoma in rushing.
Yeah, probably.
Which,
I believe you're correct.
Yeah, he rushed for 515 yards and 6 touchdowns that year on 64 carries as the third running back in the mix. So there will be carries for whoever RB3 is at Oklahoma. Jonathan Hatton will certainly have a case. Lloyd Avant will be in that mix. Another guy that I think could be in that mix as well is the other true freshman, Zephyr Walker. Yeah. Reviews have been strong on him. And obviously, you have to take everything with a grain of salt this time of year because pads have not even come on yet. And sometimes the dudes that are spectacular athletes turn out to be impactful football players, and sometimes they turn out to be eye candy. You never really know until spring practice starts. But if nothing else, what we suspected to be true about this 2026 cycle on a baseline level, Grayson, has been validated thus far just based on buzz and feedback out of winter testing, which is that Jim Nagy and the front office identified and signed a bunch of superior athletes. Time will tell if they are superior football players, but if you're betting on somebody, if you're betting on a prospect, you're betting on a freshman, it's easier to bet on them when they are a superior athlete.
This texter didn't take the traditional road, but I'm glad that he took this one. A texter in the 405 says, I don't know why he started off with poppycock, but
yeah, it's a joke going back to the 12 o'clock hour.
Oh, okay. Fair
Somebody randomly said poppycock during the 12 o'clock hour, and we had a good deal of fun at that.
Okay, fair enough. Well, he says poppycock. Not really a newcomer, but I'm ready to see non-special teams Elijah Thomas.
Oh, boy. Non-special teams Elijah Thomas is going to feed families, folks.
Which, for this conversation's purposes, I think that's a fair answer.
I love it, man. Now, Elijah Thomas is going to have to elbow his way into that rotation because at the top, you have Parker Livingston and Trell Harris and Isaiah Satania, and those are going to be tough guys to move. But just as we talked about how there are usually and almost always room for 3 running backs at Oklahoma. There's almost always room for 3 running backs, and there's almost always room – no, there is always room for more than 3 receivers. It's not going to be those 3 guys on the field all the time. So if Elijah Thomas is the 4th guy in the equation, there's still going to be a ton of snaps and a ton of targets to be had. Now, that's going to necessitate him proving to be a more reliable, more versatile, more stable option than Jermichael Carter, Emmanuel Choice, and Jacob Jordan. Not a foregone conclusion there by any means, but I think you tend to like Elijah Thomas's chances when matched up for snaps, when pitted for snaps against those 3 guys.
Yeah, no doubt. And I would like to see him on the field for, let's just say, 20 to 25% of the offensive snaps this year. I would like to see, with a guy that, remember when he was coming in, we talked about him being such a superior athlete, a well-built kid and all that. I would like to see him on the field for a nice sample size to where we can see, all right, does this completely million-dollar looking athlete translate onto the football field, like you mentioned with some of Jim Nagy's and the staff's acquisitions in the transfer portal? I would like to see if that was going to apply to Elijah Thomas.
DeWaffler says, hey, Parker, can we get a Elijah Thomas is going to eat in Arbuckle's offense? Shut up, Waffler. Gosh. It's been 3 years. Let me live that down, please. Sheesh.
Who did you say was going to eat that one time?
Austin Stogner.
That aged well, didn't it?
It did not. Glenn from Nashville says, OU's inability or refusal to lock down the borders and keep homegrown talent in state is not a recipe for long-term success in recruiting, NIL or no NIL. I guess that's a bit of a rewind to the Case Alexander conversation.
Yeah.
But here's what I would say. And you know what? I was going to bring this up anyway, but let me draw a parallel here. Everybody's all up in arms right now, locally up in the state of Nebraska and certainly nationally, about the memoir from former Nebraska athletic director Bill Moose that just came out, in which he discusses the process of hiring the prodigal son, Scott Frost, to be the head football coach at Nebraska in late 2017. And he discusses the reality that he didn't really want to make the Frost hire, but he was facing pressure from people above him, influential figures in the Nebraska athletics realm, the people who write the checks, for instance. And obviously, as one of the other folks that was in the room with him as those deliberations were happening mentioned, if you don't hire Scott Frost and he goes somewhere else and winds up really successful, then you look like a moron.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was kind of the same thing on Scott Frost's end, as Frost himself has told it. He was comfortable down there at UCF, where he is now once again the head coach. It all came full circle. He's back at UCF now. But he was comfortable at UCF. As he tells it, he didn't really want to make the move to Nebraska, but he felt like he had to because he's a Nebraska boy, former national championship winning quarterback there. Now, you can believe that or not believe that. You can believe his side of the story or not believe it. But the point is, it was very obvious then, and it's very obvious now, that Nebraska hired Scott Frost, and Scott Frost went to Nebraska mostly because of vibes. It was the storybook ending, right? The prodigal son coming home, the state of Nebraska's golden boy, reclaiming his rightful throne as the mayor of Lincoln, if you will, the man with the key to the city. And it did not work out, and it was a catastrophic disaster. And so the reason I bring that up is because I think this same principle also applies to in-state recruiting at Oklahoma, and it's something that Jim Nagy has voiced very intelligently, in my opinion, on multiple occasions, which is you don't do something because you feel like you have to. You don't sign an in-state player because you feel like you have to. You don't sign somebody because they're from the state of Oklahoma. You don't give preference to somebody you would not otherwise offer and prioritize and take a commitment from just because they're in your backyard. They have to be good enough to play at the University of Oklahoma.
And that's a hell of a parallel, too. And I will say this. I've never seen such a high-paying job where the boss didn't want the worker and the worker didn't want to work for the boss either. That's a wild situation there. But I do think it is a valid point. And I will say this. I know there's a history that has led to some people thinking that Oklahoma should do a better job of making sure in-state kids stay in-state. But I will say this. After the 2027 cycle concludes, let's revisit this conversation. Because at least in the few years that I've been covering high school sports in the state of Oklahoma, I've been doing this for about 3-4 years now, the 2027 class is the most talented that I personally have seen since I've been living up here in the state. And I think, Parker, you would agree with me on that one.
It is loaded.
Yes. So if they come out of there, the 2027 class, with only one guy from the state of Oklahoma, I am more than ready to revisit this conversation if Samaj Stanford goes out of town and Gabe Osborne goes out of town and, God forbid, Ben Kolar, you let him get out of the city of Norman. So if that does happen, obviously in addition what we think will happen with Case Alexander going to Penn State, you guys are going to have a lot more credence to that narrative if that were to happen.
Yeah, and look, we got to prepare for the possibility that Samaj Stanford goes somewhere other than Oklahoma. We got to prepare for the possibility that Gabe Osborne goes somewhere other than Oklahoma.
Yes.
Like, that possibility certainly exists with Ben Kolar as well, even though that would be the most unthinkable of the three if he wound up elsewhere, just because, Jason Witten is coaching tight ends 10 minutes from your house.
Yes, exactly.
Why would you not go to the University of Oklahoma? So that one would surprise me. It would not surprise me, though, if either Samaj Stanford or Gabe Osborne wound up leaving the state. Now, I think Oklahoma will at minimum go 1 for 2 with those guys because I think they understand those are two premier players, two guys that hail from within state lines and are the types of dudes that you just, for so many reasons, cannot allow to escape, at least not both of them. You can afford for one to get away. You cannot afford for both to get away because they're both going to be studs at the next level unless something goes catastrophically wrong, they suffer a significant injury, whatever the case. Like those two dudes feel like very, very safe bets to be impact players at the next level, so you can't lose out on both of them.
And can we remind the people of the backdrop of all of this as well as it pertains to 2027? Your two highest-rated commits, Cooper Hackett, Caden Penny, one from Fort Gibson, one from Bixby. So your two highest commits that you are basing the foundation of this recruiting class are both from the state of Oklahoma.
Dink on the text line says, I blame Chris Plank for our recruiting problems at Washington. Yeah, hey, if we want to pin it on Plank, I'm all for it. We can make him the scapegoat. 405-651-3439 if you want to fire off a text before we wrap up here on Locked In, which we will do coming up next. One segment to go. Keep it here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
A true Sooner fan wouldn't be caught dead without the KREF app. Join the Army. Get the app. Tell your friends. This is the Ref, where diehard Sooner fans listen.
Hey there, Ref Army. It's Dorian Oka. Name coming up. Host of the Dorian Oka Show and lead anchor of the SEC Network. Catch Josh Helmer and myself every weekday, 9 to noon, as we'll talk everything OU and the SEC. No better way to listen to us, 9 to noon, than by downloading the KREF app, powered by Warren Cat. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store, search for KREF, and you'll never miss a show, no matter what, no matter where you go. That's the KREF app, presented by Warren Cat. Whatever the job, whatever it takes.
Life can be complicated, but saving money shouldn't be. At OU Federal Credit Union, they make saving simple and stress-free. The best part? They have no hidden fees. Joining OUFCU means you're in control of your financial future. Whether it's a rainy day fund or saving for that dream vacation, they've got you covered. Visit OUFCU.com or come by one of their branches today. OU Federal Credit Union, where savings is simple and dreams come true. Member savings insured up to $250,000 by the NCUA.
Did the recent storms damage your home and roof? Call All-American Roofing today. All-American Roofing has been repairing and replacing roofs for over 40 years and is a second-generation locally owned roofing company. They are also a Google guaranteed contractor and offer free inspections. Our roofers are GAF Master Elite contractors with a BBB A+ rating. Call All-American Roofing today at 405-787-0400. All-American Roofing, the best roofing company in Oklahoma. 405-787-0400. You might know that State Farm agent Cindy Nasher has great service. Cindy is your good neighbor after all. But did you know that State Farm has surprisingly great rates too? Yep, that's right. Along with good neighbor service, State Farm agent Cindy Nasher has surprisingly great rates for everyone in Norman. So call State Farm agent Cindy Nasher at 405-307-0500 for your surprisingly great rates today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
I'm Gina Mitchell of Mitchell's Jewelry. Valentine's Day is all about love, and we have gifts worthy of the day. Modern heart pendants and fabulous gold necklaces are sure to make her heart skip a beat. She might even have a wish list waiting for you. If you're looking to outdo Cupid, our Antwerp Diamond Supplier has brought in the best Antwerp has to offer. The selection and the prices are oh so sweet. Mitchell's Jewelry in the heart of Norman at 2201 West Main Street.
Oklahoma, Joseph Dabrowski, General Manager at Seth Wadley Chevy GMC in Pauls Valley.
We know times can get stressful, and Seth Wadley Chevy GMC in Pauls Valley is here to make it count. That's why we're giving more money for your trade and giving way more than market value. Whether you need a Chevy or GMC, a heavy-duty, van, crew cab, cabin chassis, or any fleet vehicle, we have millions in inventory for you to choose from in all sizes and all trims.
And with some of the biggest discounts and the lowest interest rates,
That's something only an all-American brand from an Oklahoma-owned dealership can do.
Oh, and if you have any challenges, just ask for me, Joseph Dabrowski, General Manager, to help your visit be one of the best you'll have anywhere.
And you'll keep getting savings with Seth spending over $24 million and counting on a promise. Tell them, Seth.
That's my promise of oil changes and engines for life on new or used gas or diesel at no additional cost to you.
So get to the store with more at Seth Wadley Chevy GMC I-35 Exit 72 in Pauls Valley, or click SethWadleyChevy.com.
Hey, wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind, like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest. Uh-oh. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. To learn your risk, take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
A real tweet, Grayson Singleton, from Variety.
Okay.
The hashtag NBA is turning its All-Star Weekend into a content factory for more than 200 top creators in Los Angeles. The league handpicked a group of influencers to cover live broadcasts, in-arena programming, on-court competitions, and fan events. The goal is to flood social feeds with league-produced moments in real time and attract new fans.
Okay. All right.
The TikTokification of sports has begun.
Before you go on, I'm going to guess that the age of your reaction to this probably is no younger than 45. Now go.
Fair. Somebody in the comments said, Wemby has to be the MVP. He's been dunk-mogging and block-maxing this whole game.
Hey, man, I will say this. Basketball in and of itself has become a social media sport. And some of it for worse. I will agree to that as somebody who grew up in the AAU system. Some of that is for worse. But a lot of it's really cool and has allowed a lot of people to build brands and to make money producing content and whatnot. Like, Overtime has really blown up because of this. Ball is Life, obviously. Like, there's a lot of good that comes out of stuff like this. So I'm here for it.
You know what?
The interviews and everything.
Actually, here's my opinion on it. My genuine opinion. I can't even hate because I'm not going to pay attention to NBA All-Star Weekend anyway, and I don't feel like anyone has paid attention to NBA All-Star Weekend for the last decade or so.
It's become a pretty niche thing.
You know what? You do whatever you feel like you got to do in order to inject some semblance of cultural relevance into NBA All-Star Weekend. Go right ahead. Maybe it works. Maybe it doesn't. If it works, maybe I'll take an interest in NBA All-Star Weekend again. But I would consider myself to be the casual NBA fan. I probably represent 60 to 70% of society in this regard.
Probably.
I am the casual NBA fan, that if you give me a reason to pay attention, I will pay attention. If you do not give me a reason to pay attention, I will pay no attention whatsoever.
I did not even think you were a casual NBA fan, because in our conversations, you've always talked about how you don't watch the NBA that much.
They haven't given me a reason to care for the last 5 years or so.
Hey, man, the basketball's been good this year.
I wouldn't know.
Clearly.
One thing I think is fascinating, and I guess we touched on this in passing yesterday, but North Dakota State is making the transition to the Mountain West. And there seems to be a growing expectation that there will be a couple FCS schools that follow suit. So they may not be the only one from that region of the country to make the jump. And the reason I think this is fascinating is because there are certain schools. up there in the more remote regions of the United States. North Dakota State certainly comes to mind. South Dakota State, my almost alma mater, comes to mind as well. Montana State, they fall in this same category. These are schools that have to recruit differently than the rest of the country. North Dakota State has been the Alabama of FCS football for the last decade and a half. And they've become the Alabama of FCS football primarily by recruiting those corn-fed country kids from the Dakotas and Wisconsin and Minnesota, Nebraska, Iowa, Montana and Montana State. Those schools just steal all the undervalued, underexposed kids from up in the Pacific Northwest, of which there are many. And with that blueprint, those schools have become the cream of the crop at the FCS level. And when we consider how seamlessly the transition from FCS to FBS has gone for James Madison, which just made the college football playoff in its third year, I want to say, of competition at the FBS level, I'm very, very interested to see how competitive NDSU is going to be in the Mountain West and in the greater landscape of FBS college football. Because if it could be done at James Madison, it can certainly be done at North Dakota State. And we've seen North Dakota State win games against FBS programs before. I can remember it. It's been almost a decade now. But they went to Iowa in 2016. I was working my very first radio job as a local broadcast producer on the Iowa Hawkeye radio network. And I remember sitting through the radio call of that game from old Gary Dolphin, the voice of the Hawkeyes, as North Dakota State walked off the Hawkeyes at Kinnick Stadium. Number 13 Iowa, fresh off an undefeated regular season the year before and a near college football playoff berth. Walked them off 23-21. So this is a school that I don't know if they can swing with the really heavy hitters, but they've proven over the years in non-conference matchups with FBS opponents that they can be competitive. But we're about to find out just how sustainable that model is at the FBS level. How far can recruiting those farm kids, those country boys from the Dakotas and Wisconsin, and pick your upper Midwest state, insert upper Midwest state here, how far that can get you at the FBS level.
And I believe it was past time for them to try their luck in the FBS. I mean, they've been running the FCS, and I believe that when you have had a run of success like they've had in recent years, you're due a promotion, and at least step into it and see what it's like. And I do think that after a couple of years, their recruiting will evolve to their new stage. So I'm not too worried about the recruiting method that they go about, and I do think they will be competitive, and I think they'll be successful. I think they still have the ability to knock off some Power Fours in isolated situations. I don't think it's going to become commonplace, but no, I think NDSU, a school that, by the way, has had 2 quarterbacks taken in the first round of the draft in the last 10 years, and I think it's time. I will say this, last thing on this, for me at least. Just because NDSU's doing it don't mean everybody else needs to try to do it. Because NDSU's been doing it. They've been running this whole thing. That don't mean all of you guys can do the same thing. So pump the brakes on everybody else. They do their thing. They've been the titan of that sector of football. Let them do that. You guys fight it out for FCS.
I would love for somebody to do a deep dive on what makes the machine go at North Dakota State.
That would be fascinating.
Because over the years, man, it hasn't mattered who the head coach is. It hasn't mattered what the staff has looked like. I mean, in their reign of dominance, they've been through, 4 different head coaches? Off the dome, it was Craig Bohl, then Chris Kleiman, then Matt Entz, and now it's Tim Polasek. So they've been through 4 head coaches, and the standard has never dipped. Never dipped. They've constantly, year over year, been in contention for, and in many cases, winning FCS titles. And so it's not one person, clearly. It's not one person. It's not one figure. Is it one strategy? What is the common thread that has made North Dakota State so good? And in recent years, what you've seen, too, in the portal era is they're still good. They're still at the top of the mountain at the FCS level, but you're also seeing ex-Bison on some of the more prominent P4 rosters across the country. Like, look at the college football playoff this year. One of the key members, key contributors on Texas Tech's vaunted defense was Cole Wisniewski, a safety that transferred in from North Dakota State. One of the key cogs in Miami's backfield was Marty Brown, a fellow Omaha native who started out his college career, guess where? North Dakota State University. So I'll be fascinated to see how quickly that transition takes place, at least in the sense that the competitive transition, I should say. Obviously, they're transitioning in 2026. How quickly are they nationally competitive in the Mountain West? It's going to be interesting. Florida Sooner says, hello, Parker and Grayson. Hello, Florida Sooner.
What up?
Said, in reference to today's insignificance, you mentioned NASCAR and baseball. Totally agree. However, you must also include the NBA. Ratings are down 50% compared to the league's peak. And if the NFL continues to kick their true fans in the teeth, they will see the same thing happen.
Well, the NBA is a different story. I think there's some structural things to the game, but I've got another theory as to why the NBA's ratings have dropped as precipitously. We don't have time to get into that. But the NFL ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, no.
Like, the NFL could have J Balvin and then have Daddy Yankee do the next two halftime, who are real Latino performers, by the way.
I didn't know either of those people.
I did not make those names up. But they could have those be the next couple of performers at the halftime show. The NFL's ratings and the NFL's fan base is going nowhere.
Yeah, and this is part of the thing I always bring up to people when they're like, college football is becoming borderline unwatchable. I'm like, no, it's not. You're still watching it.
Watching that.
You're still watching it. You'll always watch football.
Uh-huh.
You will watch college football. You will watch the NFL because football is football. And we can have our beefs here and there with it and the structure of the game. I hate the NFL's new kickoff. There are certain things in every sport. There are bones to pick everywhere. But you're always going to watch the sport of football.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
Yeah.
No doubt you're going to wind up tuning into a UFL game on a random Saturday this spring. Just because it's on and just because it's football. Football is our crack around here.
Yeah. You want to get to Wisecracker's text, or should we leave that alone?
What did his text say?
All right. I knew you had the text line in front of you. Wisecracker says, sports aside for a moment, everyone wants to throw a fit about everything going on in our world today, and yet when I stopped to vote on my way home on Election Day, I was number 171 at the polling place. Come on, people, get out. I mean, yeah, if you want to make your voice heard, yeah, go out and vote.
Dang straight.
Yeah. That's your right, and that's your duty as an American to go ahead and do that, man.
Whatever side of the political divide you fall on, vote.
Yes,
make your voice heard if you are so inclined.
3-star Puerto Rican Sooner said, I met Daddy Yankee back in the day at a Kmart in my hometown. He's a legend. He is a legend among Latino performers. Daddy Yankee is a legend.
Does Kmart still exist?
That's also a really good question.
Like, how long has it been
well,
since...
He did say back in the day.
Okay. How far back in the day? Because I haven't seen a Kmart in 15 years?
Yeah, a hot minute.
It's been forever since Kmart was a thing. And Sears, too. Kmart and Sears. I remember when I was a kid, there were Kmarts and there were Sears all over the places. And now they're nowhere to be found. Because Amazon runs the world. Jeff Bezos is the true ruler in today's society.
Drew from Flower Mound says, y'all see the NBA fights last night? Dog. Pistons, Hornets.
Yeah, I've been watching replays of that fight all day long up in the corner because we have a TV in the studio that runs ESPN programming all day, every day. And they've talked about the NBA fight between the Hornets and the Pistons like 12 times over.
Isaiah Stewart never avoids a fight, I'll tell you that. Even if he got to sprint off the bench to be in it.
I don't know who Isaiah Stewart is.
I would not have expected you to.
NBA casual, right here. Outlaw Devil says, "I love football so much. I'll go to an Arlington UFL game. Yeah, support our boy Drake Stoops. the newest member of the Arlington Renegades.
I didn't know what to expect the first UFL game I went to in San Antonio last summer. The quality of football, it's not the NFL, obviously, but it's not terrible.
Football, folks. And y'all are going to consume it. And we're going to talk about it every single day here on these airwaves, because that's what we do here on The Rev, the home of Sooner fans. For today, here on Locked In, you didn't just break your phone, did you?
No, I did drop it, though.
Okay, good. Check that screen. Make
It's
sure there are
fine.
no cracks.
Yeah, I think we're chilling.
Pretty expensive these days to get a screen replaced.
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh, run you a decent chunk of change. All right, folks. We will do it all again tomorrow. Same time, same place. Coming up next here on The Ref, it is The Rush with Teddy Lehman and Tyler McComas. So keep it right here, and until...